Hello and a very warm welcome to you. My name is Ozair, and today I have a very special guest and a dear friend with me. His name is Kasim from Solutions 8. Kasim is based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and runs his agency along with his partner John. I'll get him to introduce himself. So, hi Kasim, how are you?
Who's
And
there living the dream? How are you?
yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be on your channel specifically. You've got like the most prolific Google Ads channel on YouTube. So I'm
Oh,
famous
not
now.
not quite. I'm trying my best to just keep on updating fresh and new content for everybody and help everybody as much as we possibly can, like you do as well, which is great. I've seen your content as well on your channel, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
So
well, you were my
before
inspiration. I'm just copying you.
absolutely copy the best. So before we get started and dive into some questions and go through some Google Ads stuff. Please do introduce everyone in a bit more detail as to who you are, what you do.
Sure. I've got a Google Ads agency called Solutions 8. We're one of the top ranked agencies in the States. Um, and we've been Google Ads specific for 4 to 5 years, um, which has been phenomenal. Niching down for us as an agency has been shown quite a bit in the way of success. Personally, I'm a miserable failure, which I like to tell everybody that every marketer is really just a failure that failed at everything else and then landed in marketing. And I only say that tongue in cheek. Like I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life, and I took a lot of lumps, and I found out that marketing was one of the things that I did best, and so that's how I kind of ended up where I am.
Yeah, brilliant. And so you guys specialize mostly in e-commerce and smart shopping.
That's probably our largest segment. We have some lead gen clients.
Hmm,
I've got 160 some odd clients, and 50 of them are e-commerce specifically.
brilliant. Cool. Okay, so let's get started and let's talk about your favorite topic. Well, one of them, which is smart shopping. And many Shopify owners, drop shippers, and people who have got an e-commerce store, they are struggling a lot with shopping ads
Mm.
because with smart shopping you can't do much with it. Neither you get any search queries as to what it is the Google is showing your ads for. So give us a basic overview as to how you would structure the campaigns and how you can optimize it so that you can scale it at a profitable ROAS.
Sure. Can I maybe briefly talk about what smart shopping is? I
Yes,
think that
first.
context
Yeah.
should be helpful. So, um, people view Google as an inbound mechanism. They think like someone's going to search for something, and then you can trigger your Google ad, and that has historically been true. The reason I think so many people struggle with smart shopping is because smart shopping is largely an outbound mechanism. What smart shopping does is it monitors the conversions taking place on your site already. And that's a good sound bite. So a real quick tangent, smart shopping works better the more purchases you're already getting. And it's difficult to make work if you don't have pre-existing purchases. Google's education says you need 20 conversions before smart shopping really starts to roll. I've seen it work with less. I've seen it need a lot more. It depends on your products. But smart shopping is viewing who's buying from your site. And Google has, I forgot the data point. They have more data on every single human being on the planet than any
I, bel
government.
I believe it is about 70 million.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Is there 70 million demographic and psychographic data points? And what that means is they know things that are granular, like what verbs appeal to you, and what you do on Sundays, like really ultra specific profiles. So if Uzair comes to my site and he buys, then Google goes, oh, who looks like Uzair, demographically and psychographically speaking. And it's not just about who you are demographically, it's also about where you are contextually. Like you bought these shoes, a few days after you were invited to a wedding. And that's the type of signal that Google would pick up on. And if you think about that in like 9 dimensions, because that's the way that machine learning moves, it's so fast. What Google begins to do is it begins to push your ads, so outbound, display-based, it begins to push your ads throughout the entire Google ecosystem in front of people that Google thinks will buy. What's insane is it works. It's unbelievable. We have clients that range, anywhere between 300% ROAS. I've got one client that has a 15,000% ROAS. He spent 12 grand and made 2 million, and all on the backs of smart shopping. The issue, though, is you can't follow Google's advice. So if you read Google's education and training, Google says set it up this way. It's all wrong. It's all a catastrophic error. So anybody who says, like, I've tried smart shopping and it didn't work, well, that's because you tried it Google's way. Try it my way, it might work. So I'm going to pause there. Was there any questions before we get into like the
No,
nitty gritty?
carry on. It's interesting because I know what you about to say, and I've seen you guys, the way you structure your campaigns and the way you go about it. So I won't steal your thunder.
Okay, awesome. Smart shopping, what the analogy that I'll offer people is everybody views Google as driving a Formula One race car. And I think that has been true in the past. You know, I mean, you look at the dashboard and it's just like, oh my goodness, there's so many things for us to do. Smart shopping and most new automated bidding, you know, like you take dynamic search ads, for instance, most of the mechanisms that rely on the machine, you have to change your paradigm. You're not driving a Formula One race car anymore. You're now sailing a boat. And when you sail a boat, you know, you make one minor decision and you start to see the shift, and then you have to sometimes adjust or correct or whatever. And then more importantly, it's not just sailing the boat that's important. It's everything on the peripherasis. Yeah. You know, it's making sure that you've got like your life jackets and all that stuff, you know, set off to the side. There's a bunch of things on the outer edge. You've mapped your course. You know what the weather's like. So it forces you to look at things that Google Ads managers aren't used to looking at. I'll be really specific here. A couple of notes. When you're setting up your smart shopping campaign, you want to make sure you're running standard shopping alongside smart shopping. Google says not to do this. That's wrong. You need standard shopping because standard shopping is going to feed smart shopping. Now, smart shopping will begin to take away from standard shopping. That's okay. So don't worry if you see your standard shopping campaign dip down. That's what's supposed to happen. But your standard shopping campaign is going to feed your smart shopping campaign. At the same time, you want to make sure that you're also running a dynamic remarketing campaign. Google says not to do that either. And the reason for that is because your dynamic remarketing campaign is going to get no play. But what's interesting is, and I don't know why this is, and I'm hopeful that Google fixes this, dynamic remarketing campaigns capture users better than smart shopping campaigns do. So if you run a dynamic remarketing campaign, your remarketing audience gets bigger, and then the smart shopping campaign looks over and goes, oh, I'll take those. Thank you very much. So running dynamic remarketing gets you 0 impressions, and you would assume, oh, this isn't working. But if you don't run it, then your remarketing audience gets much smaller. And smart shopping is a heavy remarketing display-based network. So it's critically important that you have some of those pieces. And then you also want to do all the things that you would normally do and, you know, run a brand campaign, run a competitor campaign, run Facebook ads, like anything, organic traffic, YouTube, anything that you can do to feed the search algorithm. Yeah. We have clients that run Facebook at a loss because the loss in Facebook gives such a uptick in conversions in Google that it actually ends up making sense.
And I'm glad you said this and you mentioned all these other campaigns assisting, because Smart is going to take all the credit for the conversions without a shadow of doubt. So the analogy which you've given about, you know, sailing is great. And the way I say this to my clients is, if you look at a game of football, or as you guys call it, soccer, which it isn't.
I'm going to concede there. I have no dog in that fight.
The striker gets the credit. But if the other team members don't pass the ball to the striker, he'll never score the goal.
Right.
So you need to have that. And what you said earlier on just now, that DSA and the shopping will not get any conversions, but those signals are going to help improve the ROAS or the conversion rate in smart shopping. And this is very difficult to explain to a client, because the first thing they say, oh, shut these down, because they're not getting any conversions. They don't understand the whole analogy as to how this works, how this game is played. And this is the biggest mistake, I think, and you will agree with this, is most people just run smart shopping, they bleed cash, and they switch it off after 30 days.
They turn it off. Yeah. I've seen it over and over and over again. I've been on stage speaking on this topic, and I've had people, you know, like heckle me basically. Like, oh, we tried smart shopping and it didn't work. And it's the best thing you can do to me. It's a gift, because all I'll do is I'll pause and I'll be like, I'll bet you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we did. And I'm like, well, you should have done this, 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 and this. And by the end of it, they're converts.
Yeah. So let me ask you one thing. So if you're running smart shopping at, let's say, $100 a day, what sort of budget would you allocate for DSA and the shopping?
In the very beginning, smart shopping and standard shopping, I'd probably go 50-50.
Okay.
And just initially when you're trying to grease the axle.
Hmm.
But over time, you want smart shopping to have 80 to 90% of your budget. Everything on the prefaces is meant only for signals. And the assumption is going to be those expenditures are inefficient. So if you're running standard shopping at a loss, that's okay.
Hmm.
If you're running, I mean, honestly, anything that's running at a loss, what you want to do, and the way to do this, it's really easy. Turn it off, see what your ROAS dips to. Turn it back on, see what your ROAS raises to. There's no, how do I say this? There's no correlation attribution setting in Google Ads.
Yeah.
Google's not going to tell you what the things ancillary to what you're currently running cost you or make you. So you have to pay attention to those things yourself. I do like, and 50-50, by the way, is very aggressive to take away from smart shopping, but I do like giving, and I don't just mean standard shopping, I mean anything that would drive conversions. When smart shopping first starts, you need it to see purchases. So if you can get those from standard shopping, great. If you can get them from YouTube, great. If you can get them from Facebook, and I hate Facebook. If I could set it on fire tomorrow, I would. I think Mark Zuckerberg's a petulant child thief. I can't stand him, but it has quality traffic. So if you can get conversions from anything in the very beginning, invest in those conversions, even if it's an inefficient acquisition cost, because it's not about efficiency in the beginning. It's about figuring out who buys from you. The other thing that's really interesting is when your smart shopping campaign plateaus, and it will all the time, find a new traffic source, like Reddit ads or whatever. And you'll notice that when you find a new traffic source, you just broaden Google's horizons. They're like, oh, wow, those people buy from me too. Interesting. The Google display network is the most prolific thing on the internet. It reaches 90% of all internet users on the planet. 65% are reached on a daily basis. Google can get in front of everybody. The issue is teaching Google who these people are. So the cool thing about smart shopping is every new traffic channel just became your best friend.
And even though shopping and smart, you're putting 50-50, shopping is only going to kick in once the smart shopping budget runs out, because
smart shopping is going to steal everything from standard shopping.
It will steal everything. And as soon as it, $100 is spent, then the shopping will start to get some impressions and some clicks, etc.
Yep. Well, and I mean, so there's merit to, and what's interesting is, I can't prove this, but I have seen anecdotally, historic conversion data before smart shopping campaigns are built seem to give some predictive indication to Google as long as the conversion action is the same. So if you're running standard shopping sans smart shopping and you're getting enough purchases, clients that already have functional Google Ads campaigns can just switch smart shopping right on. And now it's going to take a lot away. So you're going to notice that there's quite a bit in the way of cannibalism, but it's much more efficient. In its reach. The other thing to do, and I have clients that fight me on this all the time, it's so infuriating, run a brand campaign protecting your own brand. Because what happens with smart shopping is you get hundreds of thousands, some case millions of impressions, and it's your brand, it's your logo, it's your favicon, it's product names, it's your face potentially, and it's your URL. And what we've seen every single time is ubiquitous truth. Almost 60 successful smart shopping campaigns now. Every single time is ubiquitous truth. As we run smart shopping more, the number of brand searches increases. And smart shopping can go and capture those searches, convert them. Now, our clients that know are like, oh, I don't want to pay for that traffic. I would have gotten that anyway. Number one, maybe not. Number two, even if you would have, the click is cheap and pay for your data, damn it. Because if you don't get to see the whole conversion path, then Google's not going to be able to properly optimize for
and
you.
Don't let your competitors hog your top spot.
Right. Because that's the very first thing I do is I go start bidding on competitive key phrases. I've built entire businesses off of the back of a competitor that gets really aggressive with radio, television, newspaper, and has no idea how to do digital. So we can swoop in and steal your traffic overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say that brand is one of the most important ones to run. So do you put any budget into dynamic remarketing, or we don't need it as such if you're running smart shopping?
From a settings perspective, you need the budget enabled so that it's running, so that it's on effectively, but it doesn't matter because it's not going to show.
That's right.
So you can put it at whatever you want. And I have had some accounts, and I don't understand why, but I have had some accounts for dynamic remarketing for whatever reason, like Google just, I don't know if it's the GTM setup or whatever, but it doesn't get as expansive as it does for other clients. And in those instances, we've tried to what happens if we ratchet up budget, and seen mild improvement there. Google loves it when you give it a signal like, hey, I'm willing to spend more here. That seems to I don't know what, it's conspiracy theory-esque, but I've also seen it enough to where I feel comfortable saying that, you can just, you watch them get greedy. You can see Google salivate digitally whenever you're adding budget to things.
Yeah, absolutely. With regards to smart shopping and the structure of the account running, can you tell a little bit about the expectations? What expectations you tell your clients to set up? Because everybody wants instant results right now. It's like the McDonald's, oh, I want it right now.
Right.
But it doesn't work like this, especially with smart. It does take a bit of time.
Yeah. So first of all, there's no guarantee that it works. Like I'm up here selling smart shopping at you, but there are clients that smart shopping has failed for. Generally, in my experience, it's just a handful of reasons. Number one, your product is difficult to understand at a glance. So we had a gal, I loved her. She was a phenomenal entrepreneur, brilliant person. She created a new baby swaddle, invented it. And this was, I was a new dad at the time. So I'm looking at this thing. You could change the diaper without unswaddling the baby. It had all these like breathable fabric. It was amazing. It was brilliant, but it was 30% more expensive than every other baby swaddle on the market. And all of the features required like a 6-7 minute explainer video before you even understood. Well, with smart shopping being heavy display based and pushing out in front of people, all people saw was a really expensive swaddle. So that's issue number one. Is smart shopping isn't going to do great. For that you need YouTube ads, or Facebook ads, or something that gives you the opportunity to do some thought leadership. Now, smart shopping coupled with those things over time, could it have worked? Yes, absolutely. But she didn't have the budget to find out. The other thing that you'll run into is if you can't compete, like if you're low margin, low dollar products with one-off purchases, if you're selling cell phone cases, God bless you. I have no idea what to do for you. Because you're selling this thing for $11, you make two, they're never coming back. Your cost per acquisition is going to be 3, 4, 5x that. So, you want something, if you can't profit from 300% ROAS, you're going to have a hard time. And what's interesting about that is I've seen the same thing inside of Google's ecosystem. It's almost like it doesn't want to give you the traffic unless you've been able to reach a certain degree of proof of concept, because Google wants to know that you're relevant. So to answer your question directly, we need 90 days. When smart shopping fails, what's nice is it fails quickly. So if it's not going to work for you, we'll know pretty quick within that 90-day period. Interestingly, Google's education says that you need to run smart shopping for 45 days untouched. I have found that to be true. It's one of the few times Google has told us the truth. Do not touch your smart shopping campaign within 45 days. Also, do not apply a target ROAS.
Okay, can I just ask one question? And
yeah,
that's the bidding bit. You can't do much with smart shopping anyway. So are you referring to changing the budgets?
Changing the budgets, changing the bids, changing the products, changing your feed. One thing that people like to do is they like to take they like to cherry pick their products. And you don't want to do that at all, because I have a quick anecdote, and hopefully this isn't annoying or irrelevant. We had a client, she sells medical device equipment basically for a specific type of medical technician. She has like 8,000 SKUs, let's say. I don't know what it is, but it's close to that. It's close to 10,000. She goes, these are our 400 products that sell. Nothing else ever sells. We have them in our catalog because every now and then the doctor needs a light bulb or whatever, but these are the 400. And we're like, all right, we did okay, 400 or 500% ROAS. We finally, months later, talk her into throwing the whole product catalog after it. She's tracking 3,000% ROAS now, I believe, or something close to it. And not one of those 400 products she gave me are on her top selling products list. Everything that you sell is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because that's what you've positioned yourself to sell. Google will figure out what's going to sell for you, A. B, a lot of the products that perform for you are acquisition products that don't actually, they get the click, they don't get the sell. So when you're looking at your data, you look at a product that has, a significant amount of ROI attached to it, but you haven't sold that much of that product. And the reason for that is if somebody, if they click on an ad for this pen, but they buy these glasses, the pen is what gets the ROAS attribution. And so you're going to say, I didn't sell $1,000 worth of pens. It's like, no, but you sold $1,000 using the ads, using the pen as the ad basically. And that happens all the freaking time, which actually leads me to another structural issue. And this was a mistake that we made in my early education. If anybody's ever seen any of our videos, we would tell people to segment their accounts, segment their campaigns by margin. So Google would say, don't segment your smart shopping campaigns at all. We would say, no, that's wrong. Segment it by low, medium, high. So you can attribute your budget accordingly and make sure that you're pushing your budget to the products that you want to push. The issue with that we found out later is Smart shopping campaigns don't share traffic. So if they come in on product set A, but buy on product set B, that wall that you've built causes some drop off where you just can't cross pollinate the way that smart shopping would need to. So you can still split your campaigns, but only do it if you have products that are very different, and you're never going to get any of that cross pollination. That's not most businesses. Most businesses have cross pollinated products. Even low margin products that you don't want to sell, run them, because you don't know what's going to bring somebody in.
Yeah. And this is the exact conversation I had this morning with a client. And he was saying, oh, let's split the high profit margin products from the low ones. I said, first of all, we haven't got the data. We only got like 39 conversions in the account. And they started Google Ads very recently. And I kept telling him, look, don't do it. And he's adamant, no, I want to split it out. So, okay, what can you do? I mean, pretty much I'm going to tell him after a few days that, look, we can't carry on working with you because you brought me in as an expert to manage. And if you're not going to listen to me, then I can't offer my best to you. And this is what most people don't understand, the technical things which is behind these campaigns, which most people don't understand. But we covered quite a bit on smart shopping. One last thing which I would love you to touch on is most advertisers, business owners, first of all, don't understand the customer lifetime value and how it can play a huge and massive part in the profitability of your Google accounts. Because what they look at is the first transaction. Oh, I'm making a loss. Oh, I'm not making money.
Yep. I love consumables. I like high ticket. I like anything that has tangents. You know, you bought this medical device, and now this needs a new switcher every 6 months or whatever. We have a client who sells a very specific type of industrial tape, ultra niche, and he only sells it to HVAC companies. That's it. And you would think like that is the most niche product in the world. Here's what's interesting is his e-commerce campaigns lose money if you look at it from a single purchase perspective, because a roll of tape is like $11, and all of his first purchases are from all of his paid advertising first purchases are from companies that are testing his tape. They don't believe that it's actually going to do the thing that he says it's going to do. They pay $11 for the tape. He's lost money. The lifetime value of a customer last time we spoke, and I'm making a number up again because I don't remember, but I think it's around $5,000. Like, it's insane. So he might pay $50 for an $11 purchase, which means he's hemorrhaging money, but then make $5,000 over the next 2 or 3 years, because once these HVAC companies realize, wow, you just made my life way easier, they buy it in bulk. And so the key there is making sure you pipe that data back into Google so Google knows, oh, this is actually functional and profitable. You want to be careful. This gets really weird, Uzair. And I'd love your opinion on this too, because I respect few people's opinion more than yours when it comes to Google Ads. And I need you to put me in a check if I'm going crazy. I'm afraid now to tell Google what we make. And I'm afraid because in the past we had manual control. We could control these things. But now you're telling Google what you're willing to pay. You're telling Google what you make. It's not hard for them to go, well, I know exactly what your margins are. And I know that as long as you're making this much, you know what I mean? And so in offline conversion tracking, all I'm doing is piping in enough data to show profitability, and then I stop, because I don't want Google to see, 5,000% ROAS, because when they see that, then all of a sudden my CPCs start going up,
and our ROAS starts to come down. And it's well, they know, I mean, I tell this to everyone, they know, Google knows more about me and you and everyone else than we know about ourselves.
Yep. Sadly.
As simple as that. As simple as that. And it's pretty scary. And way the algorithms and the machine learning is heading, it is crazy scary. And it is becoming not simple, but it's easier for business owners to make money, because if they do the right things in Google Ads right now, unless something like the iOS thing for Google comes up, then it's all going to be doom and gloom.
Well, the iOS for Google is going to be self-imposed. It's Google's flock.
Yeah. I think it's couple of years away, I guess.
Yeah, they pushed it back again.
Yeah.
2023 now, the
Yeah.
death of third-party cookies.
Yeah.
I bet they push it back again after that. This is like the 9th time they've pushed it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is why, the customer lifetime value, what you just mentioned, that they don't understand. It's not the $11 they are selling for, is the how many transactions they're going to get recurring for the next few years.
Yeah, you got to know your numbers. And when I encounter entrepreneurs that don't know their numbers, in my mind, I'm like, you can't run paid ads. You don't know, and it's not just e-commerce. If you think about lead generation too, taking a step back, you need to know what a client is worth to you long-term net profit, because if you're banking on gross, then you're in dangerous territory there too. And then once you know that, you need to know how many leads you close. You need to know what you can pay for a lead. And if you don't know those things, then you have no idea if your marketing is efficient. I've had clients that balk at like, $400, $500, $600 leads. But when I do the math for them, I'm like, this is not only efficient, but what you have to pay, because this is what all your competitors are paying. There's no way to pay any less. It's an interesting conundrum to see, and really smart, like really vetted, tenured business owners that don't know their numbers. Blows me away every time.
Yeah, I know. And there's some very big businesses who are flying blind.
I have a close friend who's also a mentor in a different capacity, and he laughs at it. He's got a $30 million business, and his self-deprecating joke is, look, I put money in, more money comes out, and I'm happy as long as that's happening. And I'm just like, now he's super old school, but I'm like, dude, you can't, just don't teach anybody that.
And the best company is for this is GoDaddy. How they make money from a 99-cent domain, and the domain CPCs, you and I know how many the CPCs is so high. And the funnel and the back end sales they have and the upsells, it's amazing.
Oh, they're so sticky. And once they have their hooks into you, it's not just domains, it's the hosting and the email and the web builder. And yeah, they've done a really good job at that. I met Bob Parsons. I pitched him on something. He was cool. He was a really interesting cat. Really kind of eccentric, but once you meet him, everything makes sense. You're like, oh, I get this. Like he just zeroes in on something, and GoDaddy's done a phenomenal job. What a good example.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is what I always say to everyone. Look, you look at how can they afford to sell a 99-cent domain if the CPC is like $50.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not like on 100% conversion rate. Their conversion rate will be quite low. So to acquire a customer, they are willing and able to pay. And this is how this game is played. Whoever is able and willing to pay the most wins.
Yeah. Well, who's worse is Salesforce. Salesforce, I forgot the exact data point, but I was listening to a webinar with their head of marketing, and their lifetime value of a customer is calculated over 20 years, meaning they're willing to pay. And I'm not going to say this properly, but they're basically willing to pay up to like 19 years and 11 months and 28 days worth of profitability, because they know that basically once you're on Salesforce, everybody that works at your organization is going to be on Salesforce forever. We're never going to lose you, because their retention is just so good. And once people are on Salesforce, they get in here, but then they blow it up to there. Yeah. So their expenditure, and I've competed against Salesforce in different contexts. There's no way. What they're willing to pay it's absolutely insane. Yeah.
And the same is for HubSpot. Once they get you, that's it. You cannot leave them.
Yeah. I hate how much I love using the HubSpot application. But there's something about some of that too. Like HubSpot pisses me off. I hate clicking around a dashboard and seeing a little lock symbol. Like, oh, you can't use this. You have to upgrade. I'm just like, come on. So much of this you could just make available. Part of their ascension model, I think, is there's too much complexity there.
Too much things. Yeah, brilliant. No, thank you so much, Kasim. It was lovely to talk to you, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
And so, where can anyone find you?
At home usually. Just kidding. Solutions 8 is sol8.com. We've got a YouTube channel. It's not nearly as good as Uzairs, but it's something.
No, it is there. And I'll put that link to your website and to your channel under this video as well.
Yeah, appreciate you, sir.
Well, one last step before we call off the call.
Yeah, don't give up. Everybody stops 3 feet from gold.
Yeah.
and you just keep failing forward.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure always, as always, and
Thank you,
hopefully
sir.
catch up soon sometime.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kasim, and thank you to everyone for watching this. And if you have any comments for myself or for Kasim, please do put them under the comments, and we'll try our best to answer them for you. So till then, take care and God bless. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.